If they're singing the song and they have to say, like, no one mourns the ondskapsfull, like, ooh, I like that.
But now I have to go see it. I need to know now.
What's good? Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of The Newest Olympian. My name is Mike Schubert. I'm the titular Newest Olympian. I am a 33-year-old man who never read the Percy Jackson books as a kid. I read them as an adult, though, because I was on a quest to determine if this was a book series that society had been sleeping on. I had decided that society had been sleeping on the series, but now I'm seeing if society has also been sleeping on the Heroes of Olympus series, the sequel books. And I am joined today by a very special guest, a repeat guest to the podcast, but still holding the crown as TNO's youngest guest. It's Niharika Bhattacharya. Niharika, how's it going?
It's going really good. I just got out of school like 2 hours ago.
Amazing.
So, pretty good.
How's school? How's it going?
Well, I started a new school, so it's been 3 weeks, and I want to cry because I'm so tired. But, it's the way it is. I got to suffer through another 2 years.
Is this because you're in a new level of school? Like,
Yeah.
Okay, so what level of school now?
I'm in high school, technically now. We start high school later than you would.
Okay.
And speaking of school, I never ended up telling you about my project that I interviewed you for.
Right, yes. How'd it go? Hopefully you got an A+.
Well, we have numbers. We don't have letters.
Hopefully you got a best number.
I got a 6 out of a 7.
I'll take
which
it.
Is really good. It was really good. Do I feel snubbed from a 7? Yes.
Yes.
I think I was worthy of a 7 and I just got scammed, but okay. But that was really good. And yeah, so now I'm in a different school because I'm in a different level, I guess. I'm in Norwegian high school now. So that's what it is, yeah.
Great. And age-wise, you are 17 now?
No.
No?
I am
Younger?
Turning 16 in October.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
It's a little bit off. But I skipped a grade, so my classmates are all like 17 now.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I'm excited to have you on these chapters. It's been long in the works to get you back on the pod, and we're here for some very exciting ones. The stuff is really ramping up. Before we get into these 3 chapters, though, chapters 43 through 45, we got to ask you the repeat guest question, which is, what cabin would you be in?
That's never up for debate for me. I think I would be in the Athena cabin. I love reading. I like to think I'm good at school. I'm just a little bit of a nerd like that, and that's okay.
It is.
In a good way, that is. I'm not like annoying about it. But
you're in a safe place amongst nerds as well. So you are good. And yeah, look, I'm sure the Mark of Athena has been an interesting ride as an Athena cabin person. Because
yes,
there's lots
100%.
of interesting stuff going on with Athena, and now Athena/Minerva and Minerva and Annabeth and the Mark of Athena. So many things happening.
I didn't read the whole book because that's like 90% of the book, and I didn't have time to read all of it. I just read the chapters, so you're gonna have to fill me in on like what you know and don't know.
Sure. Yeah. Basically, where we are at to keep your trapdoor intact, even though we've got the trapdoor all the way in Norway installed.
Yep. Different continent,
but we've got a very it's much like the labyrinth. We have a very vast trapdoor system that kind of moves where it needs to.
Exactly.
Basically, where I'm at knowledge-wise is Annabeth has gotten up to fighting Arachne, and then it paused, and then it switched to the Leo narrated chapters, and it went up to them defeating the golden mannequins and them being told that they are trapped, and then Leo going, I have an idea, and then pause, and now it switched to Piper, and they went underground. We're here with all of the niches and stuff, and then what we're covering today is the final 2 Piper chapters, and then Percy, so it never actually switches back to what our other folks are going through. So everything today is just in the realm of the bad water niche situation, and we have not had the continuation. It's now been many, many chapters since I've learned what's going on with Annabeth, and with each page turn, I go, oh, how's she doing?
Because I was listening to today's episode,
which is
on my way,
very different,
and that's like 18 to 20 or something like that,
Yes.
and you were like, I wonder what's up with the statue and Athena and Arachne.
It's very fun. So yes, we're recording this on September 8th. 2025, and the episode that just came out this morning was chapters 18 through 20 of Mark of Athena with Kelly. I'm so far ahead of the podcast because I'm trying to get all of the stuff done so that I can live stream my live reaction to the ending of Mark of Athena, meaning I have to get like way far ahead of the podcast. But it is very funny when I go back and I do the production work over the first pass of edits that Sherry sends me, and it's hilariously far in the past where sometimes I'm a little bit ahead, and it used to be where I would be the next time the narrator shows up. And that happened in The Son of Neptune, for example, where Frank wondered what's up with his mom talking to bears. And then 4 chapters later, he gets the answer. But now it's things where I know how the book is ending. And then Mike from a couple of months ago is like, what's going on? What's this statue? And
but I have to say, some of your predictions are like freakishly accurate. Which, like, yeah, you're older, so you probably have some level of, like, comprehension skills. Yes. But still, me, I would have never seen any of that coming, personally.
And I wouldn't have as a kid either. Especially, it's not just that I'm older. It's also that I am reading these books with such a fine-tooth comb, intentionally trying to guess what happens next. And I also now have so much experience, 9 years experience if you count the stuff I did with Potterless, of reading YA books and kind of seeing the formula. Like, there's an episode that will have just recently come out, the most recent one of recording, where I am predicting, and I'm not even going to look at the screen, so if your face reacts, I'm predicting that Jason is going to die, and it's not because of anything that I think is happening in terms of, like, guessing who would kill him or why it would happen. It's solely just based off of YA series vibes. There's too many people. They're not going to kill off the people of color that just got introduced. He's the most replaceable when it comes to him versus Percy, and we wouldn't be okay with Percy dying. And I know Percy doesn't die because there's other books with Percy in it going forward. I just know this by existing in the universe. So it's that on top of all of the things. Like, I kind of have many things going my way.
That's happened to me as well now, where I'll read books and I'm like, I can tell that you're gonna go. You're too expendable. You're going.
Stuff just happens. Stuff just
happens.
The way it is, bro. But there are some surprises in regards to Jason in these chapters. So let's get into it. So this chapter that we're beginning with is chapter 43. I have recapped where we last left our heroes. They are in the big scary fountain place. So this chapter opens with, quote, Piper needed a miracle, not a bedtime story. And I wrote, huh? Because I was very confused about what this meant as the water is raining down.
I so vividly remembered the story that she's gonna tell, even though I read that book literal years ago.
Okay, so you only know the story from this book, but it still is seared in your brain.
I read it like a couple of times, but the moment I started reading it, I was like, oh, I know where this is going.
Ooh,
it's
okay.
In there. These few chapters, they're stuck in my brain. I don't know why. They're not that special to me, but they're there.
I'm glad. So thankfully, very quickly, narrator Piper lets us know that she is thinking of the story of the flood. And this has come up a couple of different times. So I wrote in my notes, tell us, please. And thankfully, she does. It is a Cherokee tale that involves dancing ghosts and a skeleton dog. And I could only think of Dancing Ghost and Skeleton Dog. Tim Burton is trying to get the rights to make this into a movie immediately. He's calling Helena Bonham Carter. What are you doing next week?
Come on, we gotta do this right now. Right now. Just for this one.
So apparently Piper's dad would tell her this story often. There is a man who has a dog, and every day he walks this dog to a lake to drink, but the dog would always bark at the water, like the dog and the water had beef. Eventually, this guy scolds his dog for barking at the water, and then the dog turns to him and begins to speak, but not just speak when you tell a dog to speak and it barks, but literally use words. And it tells him, quote, one day soon, the storms will come, the waters will rise, and everyone will drown. You can save yourself and your family by building a raft, but first, you will need to sacrifice me. You must throw me into the water. Which is intense and surprising. And before they told the story of the flood, narrator Piper said, oh, it wasn't like the Noah story. It was this. But I didn't realize she meant it's a different version of the Noah story. So
the Noah story? Like the ark?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Similar thing. Some sort of voice says, hey, there's going to be a big flood and everyone's going to die. You won't if you build a boat. This one is more of, you won't if you throw me into the water. So slightly different. Ever so slightly
As
different.
someone who is scared of dogs, this did not help me. I have to say.
Okay.
I'm not scared of them. I just don't like them that much,
Sure.
unfortunately.
Okay.
But this did not help me at all. I was terrified that at some point a dog is going to come up to me like, you got to throw me in a river now.
I don't think this would have helped me either. I was definitely scared of dogs when I was younger. I did not like them at all. And already not liking them, I got chased by a couple of my friends' dogs, probably because I ran away out of fear and they thought we were playing a game. So that didn't help. And then I don't know what eventually got me over the hump. I think I just started to have friends with dogs that I got more comfortable with because I would go over to their house often enough. And then I slowly was like, okay, these are fine. But still to this day, I am just not a huge dog fan. Not in the negative sense, but more of I'm very take it or leave it with dogs. Usually leave it.
Pretty different on dogs now, but like in Norway, a lot of people own dogs and they're everywhere basically. So you're
Okay.
kind of forced to get over that fear. Because if you're like in the tram or the bus and somebody has their dog, they're always in front of the door for some reason.
Always find a way.
So you have to navigate around the dog. And I'm just like, I don't. If I can't go out the other door, I will go out the other door.
Yeah. Now, are dogs allowed on the tram in Norway? Because they are not allowed on the subway in New York unless they fit inside of a bag, but that does not stop people from bringing their dogs on the subway.
I think it's definitely on buses and definitely on trams and trains.
Okay.
The metro, I think, yeah.
Okay.
But like I've seen them on the metro. I don't know if it's like they're not supposed to, but they're everywhere. They're
Mhm.
on the streets. They're in the buses. They're everywhere I go. And I have friends who will see a dog and they'll go, "Oh my god, it's so cute!" And then they want to go pet the dog. I just stand there awkwardly, like I don't want to touch the dog. I'm okay.
Yeah. My main frustration with dogs doesn't necessarily fall at the feet of the dogs, or I guess the paws of the dogs, but it falls at the feet of the owners because I'm more frustrated with people who don't curb their dog, so bring the dog off of the sidewalk if it needs to use the bathroom. That's very frustrating, especially because why does the dog get a pass? Like if a person started doing that, we'd be like, yo, but if a dog does it, it's like, oh, it's
That's
a
weird.
dog. He can pee on the ground where everybody walks. And then something that definitely happens in New York a lot is a lot of people have to walk their dogs and they'll be walking them on the sidewalk. And you'll get a thing going on where dogs do the thing where they want to, say hello, sniff at each other's butts. Very cute. I get it.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, maybe it's because crosswalks and stuff, it always seems to happen at corners of sidewalks. And because I am most often now walking with my daughter in her stroller, I have to use the ramp at the corner. So in the past, I could just walk into the street for a little bit, avoid it. But there's been enough times where I just have to wait for the dog interaction to end and I'm just parked there and the people don't do the, oh, so sorry. Some do, but too often they just like stand there and let the dogs finish. And it's like, can I please use, like this meeting doesn't have to happen on the ADA accessible ramp. Can I please use the ramp? I don't want to go off the curb with my baby. Can I please go here?
Yeah.
Ugh, silly stuff.
Norwegian dog owners are very considerate. All the dogs go on the side to do their business.
Oh, good.
Not a lot of stuff happens like on the corners. If you're there, they generally try to like move so that you have space.
That's
There's
good.
a system here because there's so many of them.
I love it. That's good. Good job, Norway. You've done it. Anyway, Percy Jackson. So the man tries to push back against this notion of killing the dog. The dog tells him that if he doesn't believe him, he should look at the scruff on the back of his neck, on the back of the dog's neck, and realize that he's already dead. Oh! So the man grabs the dog's neck and sees that his skin and fur are coming apart, and beneath them are bones. He's a skeleton dog. Terrifying stuff. I totally get why you were freaked out and spooked.
Yep.
The man, who now has tears in his eyes, tosses the dog into the water. Then he builds a raft and saves his family. Afterwards, he hears a commotion like laughing and dancing on the other side of a hill. And he goes to the top and he sees thousands of skeletons. So he's very intrigued, wondering what's going on. And he realizes, oh, the ghosts were the ones dancing. So the ghosts from all of these people, the skeletons are their remains, but they're afterlife spirits. Were happy and joyful, and that is the end of the story. Now, if you're confused, dear listener, don't worry. Piper was too.
We're all confused.
We're all confused. Piper asks, what does this mean? And Tristan says, Grandpa Tom never really explained it to me either, which is very interesting. His guess, though, is that the ghosts were either happy that the family lived or they enjoyed the afterlife. Even with this explanation, though, Piper's not satisfied, and she never looked at dogs the same way. She never understood why the dog had to be sacrificed. And now in the present of our story, Piper wonders why Achelous mentioned this story. And I am now fresh off of my prediction that Jason is going to die, worried that Jason, our human form of a golden retriever, might have to be our sacrificial dog. Oh no. So
Oh dear.
I got a little spooked for sure. And then the chapter ends with the following quote: "She wished she had a raft, but she feared she was more like the skeleton dog. She was already dead." So
that's ominous.
Very ominous. I definitely want to talk to Dr. Moya to see if she has any knowledge about this myth, if the Cherokee myth actually goes this way. I'm assuming it would. It would be strange if Rick was just flexing on Cherokee mythology and making his own stuff up.
I'm not well versed in Cherokee mythology or anything, but I think that like having now read a lot of like fantasy, young adult fantasy, and there's a lot of like depictions of like you have a river separating the living from the dead. Like I read this recently, and I don't know if it's just like a reoccurring thing that's come from somewhere else, but I know that that happens a lot in what I've read. There's a lot of like you have the living, and then you have a river, and then the dead people are on the other side, and they're all happy and they're supporting you. It's nice, but okay.
Yeah.
I see everywhere now. I don't know. Probably something like that.
Yeah. Look, it even finds its way into sports movies. Field of Dreams has this a little bit, where you've got the line, it's an American baseball film.
Which I have not seen.
A man mows down a cornfield to build a baseball field because a voice in his head tells him to do so. It's a good movie. It's one of those movies that sounds wild at the time, but I watched it recently, and especially now that I am a father, it's a very like emotional father-son, or I guess even just like parent-child film.
I see any parent-child films, I start bawling.
Yeah.
Can't help it.
Look, if you ever become a parent, get ready, because you get double emotional gut punch, because when there's a thing that happens between a parent and the child, I won't spoil it, but I felt the emotion of, oh, me with my dad, and then I also had the emotion of, me with my daughter, and I was just a mess on this Delta Airlines flight, just rolling down. Thankfully, though, the row was only me, Kelly, and the baby. I wasn't crying on a stranger. But anyway, that's the end of chapter 43, which I have retitled, A Tale Floods My Thoughts. Ooh. What have you retitled chapter 43?
I don't have a retitling.
All good.
I will come back to you on that one.
Sure. Sounds great. But let's continue on with chapter 44 before we do our mid-roll break. Chapter 43, maybe the shortest chapter we've ever covered on TNO.
Because I was reading it and I was like, already? It's finished?
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, at least on my very legal PDF, which is how I read it, it was just 2 pages, and not even a full 2 pages, because like the first half of it is taken up by the space that says Piper. And then on the second page, it stops before it gets over. And I was doing the thing, I'm scrolling, I'm taking notes, and I see as I'm scrolling onto the second page, as I made my way further down it, a blank space at the bottom. And I was like, wow, that was fast. But this is why I go ahead and I look at page number totals. Yes. And that's why this is a 3-chapter episode, not a 2-chapter episode.
Well prepared. I think on my copy, it was like 3.5 pages. And I read it and I was like, okay, where's the rest?
Yep.
Where'd it go?
It's tiny, but we'll continue on. Chapter 44 begins with, quote, the basin filled with alarming speed. And I wrote in my notes, the tension builds with alarming speed too. So our team cannot find any exit on the walls. They crawl up the niches, but the water is pouring out of the niches. So it's like standing on a waterfall. Yeah.
What is niches?
My understanding is that it is just like a hole or an alcove or some sort of indentation carved into a wall or some sort of structure.
Is it like big enough for your foot to slot in, or are they like legitimate holes in the wall?
They had mentioned in the previous chapter that it was big enough to fit a small statue. So what I was envisioning was that they could get in and kind of crouch down, but maybe not fully stand up.
Okay.
Let me just quick Google niche definition. Let's see. I mean, so it's interesting is that it has like a niche when it's, when you have like a niche. I guess when I'm Googling niche, it's giving me niche. Okay, so as a verb, it says to place something in a niche or a recess. So the definition that I gave.
Okay.
That's very interesting, though, that at least the Google... there we go. You have to click show more to get the third option. The top 2 things are more about like niche. The third one says a shallow recess, especially one in a wall to display a statue or other ornament.
Yeah. Okay. The exact purpose is right there.
It's right there. Good job, Rick. You did it. You used the right words. So they're trying to hide in the niches, but the water is flowing out, so it's hard to find firm footing. Jason says that he could try to lightning zap a hole in the roof, and I wrote no, just knowing from my experience playing Pokemon that water and electricity don't mix well. That would be very bad.
Science.
Science. Piper is worried that it could create a cave-in from the roof. I didn't even consider that. But Percy's thinking what I was thinking, that they could be electrocuted. Jason says they don't have many options. Percy offers to search the bottom, saying that if this was once a fountain, surely it must have a drain. He tells the other two to check the niches for secret exits, and Piper is very happy that she has something that she can actually do to be helpful, since in previous instances in this book, the saving the day or fighting the evil portions usually involved Piper just chilling. So she's happy that she can finally contribute, or at least try.
Just saying, don't attack us. Ooh.
Waving the knife at them. I'll poke you. Get away, giant shrimpzilla.
Stay away. And then like charm speak and then cross your fingers and hope it works.
Percy comes back shortly after diving in. He's all out of breath and all out of sorts. He says that he couldn't breathe underwater. It's the first time he's ever run into this since realizing his powers, and he notes that the water is not normal. Narrator Piper thinks that because the nymphs are so evil, the water cannot be controlled by a son of Poseidon. As the water rises, Piper feels its ill effects too. Her muscles get sore and her hands turn dry, even though it's a fountain and she should be wet. Jason and Piper also look pretty rough. Percy looked rough. They look rough. Piper warns that the evil water from the nymphs is sapping away their power. The nymphs are trying to take away their life force. Percy tells Jason to channel the lightning, initiate the backup plan. Jason tries, but it doesn't work. Instead, it forms a rain cloud inside, and the water coming out of the rain cloud is also the bad water, the bad, dark,
Good job,
poisoned
Jason.
water. Yeah, so
Thank you.
he's only made things worse. The water's now up to their necks. Piper thinks of the sacrifice story, and she tells the boys that they can't fight this, and them holding back only makes them weaker. The water gets up to their chins, and Piper realizes that they're going to have to swim soon. But the water isn't halfway to the ceiling yet, so there's a lot of room to fill, so Piper gets an idea. We'll use the cornucopia to flood the room with fresh water, and we will dilute the poison. And I think that's a pretty smart idea from Piper. Pretty quick thinking under a high-stress situation.
This is the cornucopia from Hercules.
Yes,
right?
they
Okay,
had to get the other horn from Achelous. They broke it off. Now he has no horns. Now they have the cornucopia. They've used it a couple of different times to fight off bad guys.
Okay, good.
So Percy is incredibly spooked, which makes sense. This is the first time he's ever had to deal with water being potentially dangerous. So he asks Piper if the Horn of Plenty can do what she wants it to do, rush in all this water. And Piper says that if he helps, yes. So seems pretty good.
Didn't Percy have water issues in Son of Neptune? Or did I just like make that up in my head?
My understanding is that he didn't actually have water issues. He just had the fear of water that kind of started creeping in, but he had issues just with like being buried underneath the muskeg. But I don't think he actually had problems with water. He thought he was going to, and then
and then nothing ever happened.
Right, then he like got into the water into Alaska and was fine.
And it was like fun.
Yeah.
Okay. This is such a juxtaposition because again, the episode from today is when Annabeth drops the dagger in the water, and it's one of my favorite moments ever. Mm-hmm. And he comes out of the water and he's all cool about it.
So cool. So cool. So smooth.
And then I was like, yeah, not today.
Not today. And I'm intrigued. I'll have to see as the story continues if Percy continues to have the fear of drowning, or if it was sort of a premonition for this event. Was it all just because this was looming? So I'm interested to see, now that we've had the big, I can't actually control the water moment, is it over, or is his sort of drowning fear still going on? It'd be interesting. Narrator Piper explains that the stuff from the Horn of Plenty doesn't come from nowhere. She notes that she was able to cover Hercules in food by thinking of good memories with Jason. So she tells the boys that she needs them to grab the cornucopia and join her in channeling their energy into the horn. She tells Percy to think about the sea and Jason to think about rainstorms. The water then lifts them off the edge. That's how high it is. And Piper thinks of the lifeguarding lessons that her dad gave her. She puts an arm around each boy as they hold the cornucopia between them. And the advice that she gives is good. As a former lifeguard, what you are supposed to do if you're trying to save someone out of the water is what she describes, which is basically kind of, hold them in a way to where they're sort of draped over you and then use your legs to kick. That is the better way. You can do something where you put someone on their back, like on your chest, and then you kind of kick back like that. There's a couple other things, but if you are ever trying to save someone's life in the water, I would highly recommend holding them in a way where their head is out of the water and then utilizing your legs to frog kick, because that's way more effective and less tiring than if you're trying to use your arms like a freestyle or something like that.
I didn't know that. I thought that Rick Ray just kind of made up something.
No, he got it exactly right. And if you have any sort of flotation device, it is good. Like my recommended thing, I don't know if there are particular circumstances, but if I was going to save someone in the water, I would take any sort of flotation device that I had, put it underneath my back. I would put the person on my chest. I would have my chest pointing up and them with their chest pointing up as well. So it's kind of like you're, spooning in the water and then their face is out of the water. And then you kind of just kick backwards towards some sort of wall or the shore or whatever. And then you just kind of frog kick, go, go, go. That flotation device just making it slightly easier. And then you would kind of have your hands around their waist or wherever you need to, depending on how large or small they are, to get out of there.
90% chance I will be the person getting saved and not the saver.
Honestly, though, sometimes it's good to know what people are doing to try and save you so that if you are
so that you can be
at
helpful.
least partially conscious, you can know, you would know, I shouldn't thrash around. That is the worst thing to do if someone is trying to save you from drowning.
100%. Even I know that. If someone is trying to help me, you don't move.
Yep.
Just let them do what they do at that point. They know what they're doing.
Exactly. Let them cook. So the water lifts them off the edge. Piper does the lifeguard stuff as best as she could. And the cornucopia filling is not working. Nothing's coming out. Piper tells them that they have to work together. She tells them to think of clean water and to hold nothing back. She says that they should picture their power leaving them. And when Percy yells, well, yeah, that's not hard to envision, she explains that she means force it out like you are already dead. And this is a sacrifice to the nymphs. Jason encourages them to try again. Together, Piper joins in as well, offering up her voice and her beauty as this sacrifice. And narrator Piper says, quote, I'm already dead, she told herself, as calm as the skeleton dog. This is the only way. And I feel like, I'd obviously have to ask Uncle Rick about this, but I feel like he knew about this myth and then tried to find a way to work it into the story, because it doesn't feel 100% natural, but it does feel like the only way to combine these two situations.
Kind of. I think he just was like, oh, I like this and I think it's really profound, and now I gotta figure out a way to make it profound for the kids.
Yeah. But we'll see if it works. But at least, you're in an, oh crap, we're not going to get out of this situation. Sometimes you got to go for the more outlandish choices, and we'll just have to see if it works.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
It does. It does. Clear water blasts from the horn. Jason exclaims it's working. Percy notes that it's working a little too well as the ceiling is now just feet away. Piper says that they shouldn't stop as they need to cleanse the nymphs. Jason asks what happens if they cannot be cleansed. Piper says they just need to push through and keep giving it their all, even if they get sent underwater. And then the book says the following, quote, her head hit the ceiling. The rain clouds dissipated and melted into the water. The horn of plenty kept blasting out a clean torrent. Piper pulled Jason closer and kissed him. I love you, she said. Oh.
Is this the first I love you? I think it is, right?
Yeah, I don't think...
With Jason and Piper.
Yeah, but I don't think Percy and Annabeth have said it to each other.
I'm just assuming they have because they're Percy and Annabeth.
Right, but I don't think that they have. I'd have to go back and check. Let me know in the comments, folks, if they have, but I don't think they've said that yet. I think this is new.
First I love you of the series?
It might be.
Whoa.
At least relationship I love you. I would assume Sally told Percy she loves him at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, but...
Yeah. The first I love you.
It's the milestone.
It's very dramatic, it's very romantic, and it's very funny because another prediction that I had made, and maybe this will change your stance of you saying that I get stuff right. Because of the Hercules chapters where Piper was doubting the relationship with Jason, I was worried that Piper was going to not end up with Jason. I was worried that there was going to be some sort of breakup or something where she isn't with him because she started to question it. There's always been this lingering thing, not only of the Raina situation, but also of what memories are real, how real is their relationship, blah, blah, blah. So I was worried, but now with this, that's a pretty big stamp of approval if Piper tells him that she loves him.
I mean, for me personally, like out of the 7, Jason has always been like my least favorite if I were to rank them. And
Sure.
that's just because I was like, okay, but he's not that special.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I'm a big fan, and I have been a bit more upset with him in this book. I feel like he has not been as good this book in
He's
Lost
been kind
Hero.
of weird this book.
Yeah, this could be Rick taking him in a new direction. This could be us learning more about him since he was not fully himself throughout the Lost Hero. It also could be that he suffered multiple brain injuries in a span of a couple of days.
Jason and the Brick.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I have learned about that being a ship now, which is very funny.
The best,
I
arguably.
didn't know that was a thing, and then it was popping up on the TNO subreddit where someone put something to the effect of, "Oh, I'm so glad Mike got to my favorite ship, Jason and the Bread."
I was like, finally. It's taken years, but we're finally there.
We're finally Jason and the Brick, which is good because this is one, unlike some of the other comedic things that people are hoping that I get to, this one I completely did not hear anything about. I heard about the damn jokes before I got to that part. I heard about all the ladies love Leo before I got to that part. I had not heard anything about Jason and a Brick, which is fantastic. I think the closest I got to it was seeing it on fan merch, but not knowing what it was, like it just being so washed
That
over.
must be so bizarre.
It might have even been before I knew anything about Jason. Like I knew the names of those 3 for a while, so it might have, I don't know, but like it didn't ever clock for me. So I think it's very funny now that I know the ship. What a ship. What a fun ship.
I love that.
Narrator Piper says that the words "I love you" flew out of her like water from the horn. She is unable to gauge Jason's reaction as they are sent underwater. Piper holds her breath and thinks that she notices the water getting clearer. Piper then hears a roar in her ears and she thinks that it is her final heartbeats. But then she realizes that the room is shaking. The water is swirling and she begins to sink. She kicks upward, she surfaces, she catches her breath and realizes that the cornucopia has stopped and the water is draining out as fast as it was filling before. Piper then notices both of the boys are underwater, so she yanks them up. Percy's fine, but Jason is lifeless. Oh, no. So Piper's not sure what to do, but Percy steps in to help by touching Jason's forehead and channeling the water to leave through his mouth.
Okay, bro.
Yeah.
It's like, that's it.
For the folks at home, Niharika did a little hands over him motion. But this is fun because if Percy was the narrator, we would get more insight into this.
Yeah.
But this feels like one of the times where he tries something he's never done before because we've never seen him do this power before.
Yep.
So a lot of the times when he tries something new, Percy goes, "I don't know, I just did this and it worked." And I wonder if that was the case with this because to my knowledge, he's never poked someone into getting water out of their lungs before.
It's my favorite when you see Percy from other people's perspectives because for some people it's like, oh my god, Percy's the hottest person I've ever seen. He's like a Roman god, Hazel. And then for other people it's just like he'll do something and they're like, wow, how did you think of that? I know that Percy is just doing something and he doesn't really know what he's doing. He's just like, okay, touch his forehead, channel some water, I don't know.
He's got big Buzz Lightyear, I'm not flying, I'm just falling with style kind of energy where
Yeah.
he might not really know what he's doing, but it comes off as very impressive.
Yep.
So Jason then comes to, and a burst of thunder sends Percy and Piper flying. He apologizes. Piper tackles him. Jason thanks Percy, but then says that Piper is the real hero there, and then a voice in the room agrees. Narrator Piper says, quote, "The niches glowed. 9 figures appeared, but they were no longer withered creatures. They were young, beautiful nymphs in shimmering blue gowns, their glossy black curls pinned up with silver and gold brooches." Okay, so is it brooches or brooches? It's spelled
Isn't it
brooches,
brooches?
but is
I
it?
thought it was brooches.
I think it
I
is.
thought it was like one brooch.
Yeah. Sorry. Why is the word brooches pronounced brooches if it's spelled brooches?
English is weird. I don't know.
In my mind, it should be spelled Broaches.
Yes.
But I guess that would be confused with like to broach the subject.
Yeah.
So we have to
That would get
spell it.
confused. But I would say like still don't do 2 O's, put 1 O.
Yeah. But then people call it like brooches. Gosh, English. I don't wish the unfortunate circumstance upon anyone to have to learn English. What a silly language.
I know a guy in my class who taught himself English through YouTube.
Power to him.
Like he just learned English. And then he said, I have 25 times the vocabulary of my classmates. And I was like, you have YouTube vocabulary. That's different.
Yeah, you're always telling people to like and subscribe, bro.
Yeah.
You're always telling people to smash that subscribe button. Yeah. Ugh. But I do know there are some people who have utilized my podcasts at least as ways to sharpen their English, not necessarily learn it. And I know there are some people who say that they will use some of my English turns of phrase. So I wonder if there are people out there in different parts of the world just going like, so good all the time.
I say I don't want to yuck anyone's yum more than I should, probably. So
I can't take credit for that one. That's not one that I personally came up with on my own. But
yeah, but my friends are like,
works.
what are you talking about? Do you understand the phrase? Oh my God.
Come on. This is a very common phrase. What are you talking about? Everyone
Everybody
says this.
uses it. Yeah.
So anyway, the book continues. Gold brooches. Their eyes were gentle shades of blue and green. So the other 8 nymphs vanish and only Hagno remains. She says that she is surprised that such unselfishness could exist in a mortal, especially a demigod, and then ends this with, quote, no offense. And Percy replies, how could we take offense? You just tried to drown us and suck out our lives. He's got great comedic timing. Hagno apologizes, saying that she wasn't herself, but they made her remember. She points to the wall and a staircase emerges. She says that they can escape to the surface via the staircase, or they can follow the drainage pipe further into the, quote, hypogeum that the giants call home. And Percy goes, can we just quit it with the complicated words? And Hagno says, home isn't a complicated word. We love a misunderstanding. Now, speaking of home, Hagno says that she and her sisters will find new homes. She starts listing all the wilderness that they will find above, and Percy warns her that things have changed a bit in the last few millennia. She says that Pan would never allow such a thing, and Percy decides to just stay silent because it's not worth the discussion that will clearly take too long.
She's in for a nasty shock.
Piper wishes her good luck and thanks her before she vanishes. The book then ends the chapter with, quote, briefly, the nymphaeum glowed with a softer light, like a full moon. Piper smelled exotic spices and blooming roses. She heard distant music and happy voices talking and laughing. She guessed she was hearing hundreds of years of parties and celebrations that had been held at this shrine in ancient times, as if the memories had been freed along with the spirits. What is that? Jason asked nervously. Piper slipped her hand into his. The ghosts are dancing. Come on, we'd better go meet the giants. So we get the parallels with the flood story, which is very fun. I like that connection coming together. But I did wonder, Jason, you didn't respond to Piper saying I love you.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say, where's the I love you too? Where did it go?
What also could be funny is if Jason, just in the rush and the chaos of everything, did not hear her. And Piper is wondering, he didn't say it back. And Jason has no idea.
Yeah, she's going to spend the next 4 chapters, like, while we're having Percy chapters, is Piper in the background. Why didn't you say I love you? Why didn't you say I love you? Do you not love me?
Yeah, it'd be funny if Jason was the next narrator, which he isn't. But if he was the next narrator, just goes, Jason had no idea what Piper said to him.
It was something, but he wasn't quite sure.
There's too much going on for him to ask what was going on. So that is the end of chapter 44, which I have retitled, In Honor of Hilary Duff. Let the rain fall down. I'm coming clean. Do you have a retitling of chapter 44?
Well, first of all, I would like to come clean. I don't actually know who Hilary Duff is.
That is okay. You were young enough. Oh my God. Oh God. Are you young enough that you weren't born when the song came out? That's in play. Let the Rain Fall Down release date. 2003?
That's 6 years before I was born.
You look completely valid. Completely
so I don't
valid.
know who Hilary Duff is.
She is the star of the Lizzie McGuire television program.
Oh, is that? Oh,
that's Hilary Duff.
See,
and
I know
concurrently,
Lizzie McGuire.
There you go. Concurrently, a lot of Disney stars had acting and music careers going on. And this
Hannah
was
Montana.
A music thing. There was some crossover between her songs and then the Lizzie McGuire movie, which, funnily enough, does take place in Rome, and they go to a lot of the places discussed in these chapters. It's a quality film. It's a fun one. But yes, that's who Hilary Duff is.
After so many years of wondering, now I know.
Now you know. Great. This is where we're all learning together.
Yes. Chapter retitling, We Drown.
Great.
I guess. They drown, but they don't drown.
Perfect. So we will now take our break, the Market of Athena, and then we will continue on and conclude this episode by discussing chapter 45. But we got to take a break to talk about cool updates with the podcast. Woo! Hello and welcome to the Market of Athena Auxiliary Shubio edition. I'm here in the Auxiliary Shubio and I have some announcements about new merchandise and new tour stuff and new podcasty things. So let's get into all of it. First and foremost, new merch. We've got it just in time for the holiday season. So I believe that right now, live on the TNO merch store, if you go to thenewsolympian.com/merch, you can get our two new merch items. We have a shirt that says Trans Icon Blackjack, and then it has the outline of a Pegasus with the trans flag. It was designed by a listener of TNO named Marissa, and then I added the text and the logo and stuff to make it fully TNO-y. And all of the proceeds from this shirt are going to go to different trans organizations. I will mention them when I do the other donation stuff. So we'll be supporting lots of different organizations with this shirt, and I'm very excited about the particular design. And shout out to Marissa who came up with the idea for all of it as well. So big props there. And then the second item is a mug that says, anyway, Percy Jackson. And it does stop short intentionally because I want to be super safe. So this is a mug that just says, anyway, Percy Jackson. And it was designed by Kelly, and it is gorgeous. It's got this really fun wraparound design. If you go to the Noose Olympians Instagram account, you can see what it looks like. We posted the preview images of it days in advance on Patreon. So patrons got a little sneak peek insight to what that looked like. The links for it should be live now. I worked with my merch company to where Monday, November 24th, 2025 is supposed to be the release date for it. If it's not working right away, like right at the time as you're listening to this, it might take a little bit of time for those to go live, especially if you are awake right now in one of the later time zones, like if you're in Europe or Australia and it's the future, and I've posted this at like midnight Eastern time and the merch company stuff, like it might be a time set thing where it goes live at like 10 a.m. America time or something. So it might not be up immediately right now. It might take a little bit of time, but those new merch items are coming and I'm so stoked about it. Now, things that are also coming and that I'm very stoked about are our upcoming live shows. Got one coming up very soon in Los Angeles, California, going to be in Santa Monica, joined by Megan Fitzmartin and maybe some other fun guests. And we're going to be covering the next couple of chapters of The House of Hades. I will post the exact chapters on the TNO Instagram, so just follow at Newest Olympian on Instagram, and I'll announce it in the next episodes mid-roll break for sure. I just got to look at it, and I've had so much going on because I've been planning our trip to Australia, and that's a beautiful segue. We've got 4 shows in Australia that are all locked and loaded, and tickets are live and selling fast. You can go to thenewsolympian.com/live to get tickets to these shows I'm about to announce and that LA show. But the ones in Australia are Sydney on January 3rd, Perth on January 10th, Melbourne on January 17th, and Brisbane on January 24th. So head on over, get your tickets. I don't know if we're going to sell out some of them, but like some of them are looking pretty good. So head on over and snag those. And then I'm in the process of getting New Zealand shows set and up live. I just need to hear back from some of those venues. One note about this episode, there's a point where I talked about a definition of the word niche and I didn't call it a definition. And I'm really sorry, and I promise to do better going forward. On the Patreon side of things, I put up a new bonus episode recently, a video episode where I review all of the covers of the Mark of Athena, and I also take the Sporkle Characters by Mention quiz, and you can play along with me and yell at me for forgetting some really obvious characters, but that is up for Super God tier patrons and above. And speaking of the Patreon, I want to give a shout out to our newest patrons. Shout out to our newest Super God tier patron who can watch this bonus episode and more, Tinny Tan, and shout out to our newest Demigod tier patron, Awos. And one of these patrons has a gift Patreon membership, and this is a great time to remind you that you can gift a Patreon membership. It's a great holiday gift to get because you don't have to worry about shipping times or import costs or whatever. Patreon headquarters has told me that they have made gifting easier and more simple to find on the Patreon website, so you can gift people Patreon accounts. And if you have a friend who really likes TNO, you can be like, hey, I got you a set amount of the TNO Patreon. Go through through, enjoy the Discord, get some merch, get a shout out, lots of cool stuff. The gift that keeps on giving. At least if you have them sign up for more than a month, it's good. Just give people a Patreon membership. Why not? It's super fun, super cool. Now, if you're all caught up on the News Olympian and you're looking for some new content to consume, you are in luck because I make a whole bunch of content. And one of the shows I made was a limited series podcast. It's called The Last and the Curious. I made it with my buddy Eric Hamilton Schneider, who you have heard and undoubtedly loved on this podcast many times. And it's all about the Fast and the Furious movies. I had never seen them. He's a super fan. We did an episode for each movie and a couple of bonus episodes as well. Just going through the whole franchise. We would watch a movie and then immediately get on the microphones, sometimes in person, sometimes remote. And it was just a blast and such a delight. And you can get it on the Patreon shop. So you can go to patreon.com/thenewsolympian/shop. That's also where you can get replays like the stream replay of the Mark of Athena ending live stream and a bunch of other live shows that we have done. But you can download that podcast for just $5. There's no ads, nothing. And whenever we make new episodes, whenever they create new Fast and Furious movies, we'll update and send out a new episode to everyone who's ever purchased. So that's available on the Patreon shop. You can also go to thelastandthecurio.us and it will automatically link you to the buy page. Now, unless you're listening on Patreon, where you get access to ad-free episodes, you're going to hear words from a few sponsors who make it feasible for me to be a full-time podcaster. Some of those ads will be read by me, and others of them won't be. The ones that aren't read by me are inserted locally. So if you live in Mongolia, don't be surprised if you hear an ad in Mongolian. But once those ads are complete, we'll get back into this episode of The News Olympian. All right, and we're back, and we're here to discuss chapter 45, which is a Percy chapter. So, of course, the first thing that I wrote in my notes was, my boy, as I always do when Percy comes back as the narrator.
The best chapters, apart from Annabeth.
Yeah, I think that is probably the ranking, because as I will come to a certain point in my notes in not too far, and it doesn't take many pages to get to this point, Rick is just cooking when Percy's the narrator. Yeah. Just absolutely firing.
Before we start, I have a story about this chapter, and it's going to really showcase how young I am.
Okay, cool.
And how much of a rascal I am. But I go to an international school, which means that I don't do school in Norwegian. So when I have Norwegian lessons, and my Norwegian teacher would be like, okay, guys, let's go to the library and let's read some Norwegian books. We would go, and then me and my best friend would pick Percy Jackson books that were translated.
Cool.
And then we would pick up an English copy and we would compare them because that's always really fun.
That makes sense.
And we spent like a good hour and a half just giggling about this chapter alone.
Okay.
Because later there's a description about somebody with snake feet.
Yes.
And we spent the hour and a half being like, logistically, how does that work?
Mm-hmm.
Do the snakes eat? Are they in pain? What is going on here?
Yeah. There are a lot of questions. Snake feet does pose many, many, many questions.
This chapter is just insane. And the thing is, I read it in Norwegian as well, and this is all I can think about.
Were there any differences? Like, did the Norwegian version describe it differently, or was it just kind of English to Norwegian?
From what I remember, the Norwegian versions aren't like as diabolical as the English to Norwegian Harry Potter translations, because those are, I don't know what was going on over there at all.
Interesting.
For instance, Dumbledore in Norwegian is Humlesnurr.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my friend said to some effect that means bumblebee or something like that. Norwegian people, don't come at me. I'm not good at Norwegian.
That might be correct, because I did, for one of the final Potter's live shows, I did it when we were in Switzerland, because in Switzerland they speak French, German, and Italian, all as official languages. Also Romansh, which is like one of the older languages. Those are all like official languages in the country. So we did a live show episode where I looked at all of the localizations. So it's not just translation stuff, but it's when they change names of things like proper nouns to fit the vibes more.
Yeah.
And I guess Dumbledore, Bumblebee would kind of make sense.
I don't know. And also they changed Ron to Ronnie for like no reason. I don't know why they had to do that.
I don't know
why, but okay, that's the way it is now.
That's really good. Yeah, okay, so I guess we did not do Norwegian as one of the options. So I would believe Bumblebee. It's not like I actually would know this, but it's a fun thing that I hope, maybe with the Percy Jackson fandom getting larger and larger now with the shows, that people would do this, because a nice thing about Harry Potter is that the world is so expansive that there's so much stuff on the Harry Potter wiki. And a lot of the research that me and my intern, Steven, who helped me put together the notes for that live show episode, a lot of that info came from just people on Harry Potter Wiki just filling stuff out. And there's just like this big list of all the different things that change, and it's all fan and user submitted. So if that existed for the Percy Jackson world, that would be very cool, because I'd love to see the differences, because some of the things, it's very funny. Some things it lines up. Other things, it kind of makes sense given the language. And other times countries just decide Ron isn't the right vibe. He's got to be Ronnie.
Yeah. I think for the Percy Jackson books, the names wise, nothing much changes except in Norwegian PH, it doesn't make the F sound. So they just replace that with F.
Okay.
Some gods' names get changed a little bit. Like, for some reason, Zeus isn't spelled, it's like spelled SZEVS.
Oh. That's the way they used to do it in Roman times, because as someone who took Latin in high school, they didn't have U's because you couldn't carve a U into stone.
Oh.
So that's why you would have V's in the place of U's. Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. And then Annabeth has, I think, one N instead of two N's.
Oh.
Because
Annabeth.
no, but also because I think in Norwegian, especially when you do like double the consonant, it shortens the sound.
Oh. So she really would be Annabeth if there were two N's.
So, yeah. So I think they made it one N, so then she's Annabeth or something like that. I don't know.
This is great. I find language differences so fascinating. It's one of my favorite things to nerd out with these YA books. It's so great.
It's diabolical for Harry Potter. It's so funny.
Great. Love it. All right. Anyway, Percy Jackson. So
Yes.
It opens with, quote, Percy was tired of water, which is interesting. A very fun way to start a Percy chapter. And then it continues on. If he said that aloud, he would probably get kicked out of Poseidon's junior Sea Scouts, but he didn't care. I need to know if this is a real thing,
Yes.
or if he's just making a sassy comment, because it could go either way. This could be Percy making a joke, or when he went to Poseidon's underground world, there could actually be the junior Sea Scout.
If it's capitalized, then I think it is there. If it's not, I think Percy's just being sassy.
Okay, I will add this to the list of questions to ask Uncle Rick, but the Sea Scouts, I don't know. What are their uniforms? Do they sell popcorn like the Boy Scouts, or do they do cookies like the Girl Scouts?
Is it just demigods, or is it like the Cyclops, and is it all the sea creatures?
Oh, that would be so cute. That would be
like
really cute if it's a diverse group. There's a Cyclops, there's a dolphin dude, there's Percy. Oh, that'd be great.
like dolphins selling sea cookies door to door in uniforms?
Come on. That'd be good. That'd be really good. Or maybe they sell seashells by the seashore. That'd be really good. All right. So Percy wants to be warm and dry, preferably with Annabeth. However, he has no idea where she is, or where Frank, Hazel, and Leo are, or where Nico is. And oh yeah, Rome is going to be destroyed and Gia is going to take over the world. So just a few things going on where I can't go and get dry. I got to go find my friends and save the world.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Narrator Percy says, quote, seriously, these monsters and gods were thousands of years old. Couldn't they take a few decades off and let Percy live his life? Apparently not. And he does have a point, because there is a whole heck of a lot going on just in this short span of a few years. I get that it's a YA book and it has to happen, but it is kind of funny given that these people are thousands of years old, but they've really honed in on the mid to late 2000s, 2010s era.
Like, you see it in, so there's an author, Cassandra Claire, and she's written like a bunch of different series, and they're all within the same universe, but they're all at different times. So not all the same people encounter the, like, villains or whatever. It's like early 1900s, mid 2000s, 2010s, kind of mid 1900s. It's like all over the timeline.
That's a smart way to do sequels, prequels, and all that, because if you just make it really, really far spaced out, you don't have to worry so much about things lining up. I feel like there need to be more fantasy approaches that do not direct sequel or not direct prequel, because especially with the prequels, it can just break the world building where, you introduce a new thing and it's like, why didn't the person in the main series utilize this tactic?
Or you do Suzanne Collins' Hunger Games and you build the world building even more.
Mm-hmm.
Because she just like fleshed out these like question marks from the main series in her prequel series.
Did she do a good job of it? Are the prequels good?
I love those books.
Okay, good.
I like the prequels more than the main series personally.
Ooh, okay. My only experience is Kelly watched the President Snow prequel movie thing, and I only caught the tail end of it, but I was very confused about how quickly it went from oh, he's a nice guy to like, he's trying to shoot Rachel Ziegler with the gun.
Okay. That book is really good, in my opinion. I know a lot of people don't really like it, but I think it's really good because the whole idea is it's like, it's Snow's origin story.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, Well, he kind of always sucked.
Right.
And
Yeah.
before he was pretending to not suck. But now he does suck. So,
What I have heard, because I think Kelly went on a Reddit deep dive after watching the film, I heard that the movie kind of didn't 100% accurately represent that part, like his descent into being bad.
yeah.
And I think there's more of a tendency to root for someone in a movie than in a book. I think it's easier to like go into it knowing, well, this guy sucks, so you can have a narrator, a character, whatever, that is bad and still make for an interesting book. But if you are going for a big Hollywood blockbuster, it is kind of tough to try and have someone that just sucks the whole time, or at least for a larger portion of it. So I can see why it happened.
But I also think in the book, you had his inner monologue and you can just hear what he's thinking. In the movie, you can't do that unless you have a narrator, which I think in the Hunger Games world, it kind of breaks the way that it is.
Right.
So you can't do that in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in movies, people, like most people, just watch movies for like the entertainment value and less for the educational value, if you will.
Sure.
Whereas when people read books, there's a different level of time and investment that you put into that because that stretches over a long period of time.
Totally.
As opposed to a film.
Yeah, 100%. Totally. Yeah.
But I still like the film.
Good. Great. I saw the very end and I was like, I'm glad you enjoyed this, Kelly. Bye. So anyway, Percy leads the way down the drainage pipe, and along the way, they hear the sound of large machinery that Percy thinks could seriously use some WD-40 so that it wasn't so loud and creaky. Narrator Percy says, quote, he had absolutely no desire to find out what was making that sound, so he figured that must be the way to go. Gosh, and this is where I wrote in my notes. Rick is just cooking when Percy is the narrator.
Yes.
Percy eventually arrives at a room that looks like the parking garage type structure from his dreams, but now it is filled with more stuff. The machinery that he was hearing is a pulley system that raises and lowers portions of the floor for seemingly no apparent reason. Some machines are powered by flowing water and water wheels. Others are by hellhounds and giant hamster wheels. And there are live animals in cages that are suspended from the ceiling. It looks like a less modern and less organized version of the Amazonian warehouse from The Son of Neptune. As Percy calls in the others to come see, because he kind of went down and looked over around a little corner, a wooden cutout of a gladiator pops up and moves its way along a conveyor belt, and then it gets hooked on a rope and is lifted through a slot in the roof. Jason's confused, but Percy uses his ADHD to sort through the chaos. This gave me flashbacks of when he was fighting Ares, and he kind of was able to slow things down. There's so much going on, but he was able to hone in on everything. So he is able to focus on what he sees across the room, 2 large chairs with a bronze jar in between them. Piper thinks that's too easy. Percy agrees. Jason says they don't have a choice, and Percy agrees with that. So Percy tries to avoid the traps, but he thinks that everything in this room looks like a trap, so it's going to be really hard to avoid traps. And our team is about halfway to the jar when the 12-foot-tall, purple-haired giant, the Big F, descends towards them on a platform. He's wearing a Hawaiian shirt with a print consisting of dying heroes and gruesome torture. This is great since he's supposed to be the anti-Dionysus. It's a really fun move here. And he's wearing white jeans and sandals. And the Big F is all smiles, saying that he didn't think that these 3 would get past the nymphs, but he's glad that they did for the entertainment value alone.
Where did he get the shirt from? I kind of want to know. Is it like Monster Donut or what?
Ooh, do they have a merch department? Yeah. It's like Evil, Hot Topic, Evil Spencer's, something.
Like all the clothes are really on theme for their vibes, and I need to know where is it coming from.
I'm always curious about the economy of where people get their goods.
Gaia like has an evil marketplace with all the goods, with all the vibes, all the different giants and
maybe
titans.
Arachne, in her weaving ability, on the side makes evil clothes for her evil henchmen.
Makes a good amount of money off that too, probably.
Probably, yeah. So Percy demands that the Big F release their friend, but the Big F says that he's happy to, though he warns that their friend might be past his expiration date. So he calls for Otis, who emerges on a platform that comes out of the ground, and the Big F is happy that Otis isn't wearing the same outfit as him, but he's dismayed that he is wearing a ballet leotard. And then narrator Percy says that it does not leave enough up to the imagination, which is the perfect way to describe it and keep it all chill for a YA book.
Yes, I love this whole section with my life. And also the expiration date thing is an inside joke between me and my friend now.
Okay.
For like forever, because now like she'll come up to me sometimes and she'll be like, So, are you past your expiration date yet? That doesn't make sense. Like, okay.
I mean, it could just be if you're exhausted. Since Nico isn't actually dead, it could be a way to describe being so tired that you feel like you have been cooped up in a bronze jar for hours on end.
I just thought that was so funny. So
It's
funny.
a fun way
I
to
don't
say
know.
it. So the Big F asks Otis, what the heck are you wearing? Otis says that he didn't want to wear the gladiator outfit, and he stands his ground that a ballet during them taking over the world would be great. The Big F apologizes to our team for his brother's lack of stage presence and style, and he calls for Otis to tip over the jar. And after doing some pliés on the way there, great, he's very committed, he does. Nico spills out, and Percy cannot tell if he is alive. It's just like me when my milk is on the day of expiration, sniffing and taking a tiny sip to see, because you never know. You never know.
You never know. All I can imagine is Otis like doing the pliés, but like with perfect precision.
Oh, yes.
And grace. No mistakes. He is trained
Yes.
for decades and decades and decades. He knows what he's doing.
Right. I imagine that he is the greatest ballerina that anyone has ever witnessed. And I think
Exactly.
that's fun given that he probably has a more unconventional ballerina build. Though, depending on how muscular he is, male ballerinas, those dudes are ripped. Those dudes are jacked. So I totally get
But
it.
people who do ballet have insane strength. Like my friend does ballet, and how is she standing on her toes for that long? I got no clue.
I mean, yeah, as someone who did dance for a couple of different years, just I know like the inner workings of other styles of dance and how hard it is, because I did hip hop dancing, which like has its challenges, but not necessarily as many of the physically demanding stuff unless you're getting into breakdancing and stuff. But yes, pointed toe ballet, even some of the things you have to do in jazz and tap, like there's so many intricate things that go into dancing. Modern dance has a lot of, there's so much like core strength that you have to do to make your movements really tight. It's lots of even just like clenching your muscles and body isolation stuff. Dance is such an
Gotta
impressive art form.
stand still.
Yeah. And I know Sherry editing this. Sherry's a huge fan of the ballet. She goes often in New York. I see it on her Instagram stories all the time. So I wouldn't be surprised if Sherry pipes in editing Sherry, which when she sends over the edit, sometimes she'll like say things. She might have some thoughts here. We'll have to see. Hey, this is Mike from the future here. So Sherry did not send in an audio update about this, but she did text me when she was editing this episode and said that she once had to convince a friend that she had brought to the ballet that the male ballerina on stage was not wearing a bodysuit. He was actually that ripped. And her friend was convinced it was a bodysuit. She had to say, no. This is how ripped this dude is. Anyway, back to the podcast.
I don't live near any ballets. I can't see plays or anything. Not really, because I'm not fluent in Norwegian, and I'd rather not. They have Wicked here in Norwegian, and I'm so confused by that.
Is it called Wicked or is it translated?
I know it's called Wicked because I've seen the posters that say Wicked,
Okay.
but I'm always like, okay, but the rest of your poster is in Norwegian. So
Let me
is
just
your show
Google
in
Wicked
Norwegian?
in Norwegian. I hope it gives me the word. Ond, O-N-D. It says ond or ondskapsfull.
I think it's Unskaps or something probably like that.
Okay. Und. Yeah, I mean, und doesn't have the same kind of oomph,
On?
but ondskapsfull, that sounds fun.
That sounds German. That does not sound Norwegian.
Well, isn't it all from, oh, okay. So if you do the flip on Google Translate and you just put in ondskapsfull, that translates to malicious or spiteful, which is like the next level. I like that. Yeah, if you were seeing the play Wicked and it was, if they're singing the song and they have to say like, no one mourns the ondskapsfull, like, ooh, I like that.
But now I have to go see it.
Clearly,
need to know now.
for research.
For research
Anyway.
purposes.
Percy Jackson. So Percy is so angry that he wants to slash the Big F, but he knows that that's a bad choice with Otis towering over Nico. Jason says that they will not be a part of any show and then asks what a hypo, whatever you call it, is. The Big F says that Jason, a Roman demigod, should know what a hypogeum is. And Piper says that she knows. It's the area underneath a coliseum which stores the special effects. I'm familiar with this concept. I didn't know that was the name. The Big F asks if she's a student of the theater. She says her dad is an actor, and he says that she is right, but this hypogeum is more than just for the stage of Colosseum. Quote, you've heard that in the old days, some giants were imprisoned under the earth, and from time to time they would cause earthquakes when they tried to break free. Well, we've done much better. Otis and I have been imprisoned under Rome for eons, but we've kept busy building our very own hypogeum. Now we're ready to create the greatest spectacle Rome has ever seen, and the last.
They're just theater kids,
Theater kid.
but like to the max. I love it.
That's great. That's great. Love it. Nico shudders at this line, and Percy is relieved to know that Nico is alive, and he tries to get the giants' attention so that they don't notice Nico. So he asks about the stage directions that they'd mentioned earlier, and the Big F says that he knows that the plan is to keep Percy and Annabeth alive, but he guesses that Annabeth is not going to survive, so he would like to deviate from Gia's plan. He also adds that they've got the other three trapped, and they are ready to go as backup sacrifices. Quote, "We can let the Athena girl die, which will please her ladyship, and we can use you three for the show. Gia will be a bit disappointed, but really, this is a win-win. Your deaths will be much more entertaining."
When they say her ladyship, are they talking about Arachne or are they talking about...
They're talking about Arachne, and that would make sense as why Arachne would be okay just with Annabeth dying. Gia is the one who wants the sacrifice to be Annabeth and Percy specifically. Jason growls, "You want entertaining? I'll give you entertaining," which is great. Didn't know Jason was from New Jersey. But Piper steps forward and says that she has a better idea. The giants should let them go, as it would be a huge plot twist, which the world would find very entertaining. And look, as far as Hail Mary charm speak attempts, this is great. This very much reminds me of when I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3, an RPG D&D video game, where every so often when you're fighting a big boss, there will be some sort of talk your way out of it situation, and it's usually very hard. You have to hit very good dice rolls, or if you are a very persuasive character, it's not that bad. And anytime you can talk your way out of a big fight, it's always so fun. I always love to do it. So I respect Piper going,
But I mean, trying to talk your way out of anything is so fun.
oh yeah. Oh, yeah. Always a fun challenge. Nico squirms. Otis notices. I don't even have to make a pun because Otis, it's right there. It's just notices is right there. So Piper adds that they should do dance moves while they escape. Maybe they could even do a ballet number. So Piper's in on also trying to get people to not pay attention to Nico. Otis does stop looking at Nico, and he makes his way over to the Big F with quite a lot of told you so energy that people like his ballet idea. The Big F shoots it down, though, insisting that since he is the anti-Dionysus, he wants to prove that he can throw a better party. He says that their spectacle will feature entertainment and food, which is what the Romans always wanted. He then goes, "Behold, a sample," and a loaf of Wonderbread falls from the ceiling. Was this a reference lost on you?
Yes.
Okay, so Wonderbread is, I don't know how old it is, but it's this brand of white sliced loaf bread that's been around in America for a while, and it is what I would assume is the unhealthiest of all the bread options because it is bright white. It is super soft. I think it takes years to expire, but it's just like this classic quintessential stereotypical sandwich bread that is so unhealthy for you.
I just assumed it was just bread and Rick was just doing something.
It's the most recognizable brand name of bread.
Okay.
Like if there was some sort of poll or survey and you asked people in America to name a brand of bread, Wonderbread would win by a mile. And then underneath it would maybe be like Sara Lee or Dave's Killer Bread maybe. But Wonderbread would for sure win.
I don't even know the bread brands. Like, what?
That means you're doing it right because you're in a place where most bread is just baked in bakeries and then directly sold as opposed to our bread, which is processed in giant plants and given crappy stuff. There's certain things when you have a kid that just become more expensive going forward. And Kelly and I made the choice of just from now on, we only buy bread from the bakery section of the grocery store that comes with just, you know, a clear bag and just like a little label saying what type of bread it is as opposed to like the processed stuff. Just because, at least for us, once you start having a kid, you start looking at ingredients lists a little bit more because there's certain things, not even if you're just looking for bad things, but little babies can't have honey. And sometimes there will be honey on bread, even if it's not like a honey loaf, they'll put honey on bread to make multigrain seeds stick to the outside, for example. So we started looking at the ingredients list of bread more, and we were like, let's just get the bread from the bakery portion where the ingredients are wheat.
I'm genuinely scared to look at the ingredients of anything I consume, even though I live in Norway, because the moment I start looking at it, I'm like, I don't know these words. I don't want to look at that.
Yeah, you could just vibe. How long is the list?
How long is the list? If it's too long.
I have Googled Wonderbread ingredients list, and it's quite long. Unbleached enriched flour, which is made up of wheat flour, malted barley flour, niacin, reduced iron, thiamine, titmonitrate, riboflavin, folic acid, water, sugar, yeast, and then contains 2% or less of the following, but then it's some funky stuff like distilled monoglycerides and datem and calcium iodate and ethoxylated mono and diglycerides. So yeah, I wouldn't.
I'm scared. I heard acid and I was like, oh God.
To literally not yuck anyone's yum, I would personally avoid Wonderbread, but to each their own. So the book does the following quote: Percy picked it up. Wonderbread? Magnificent, isn't it? Ephialtes' eyes danced with crazy excitement. You can keep that loaf. I plan on distributing millions to the people of Rome as I obliterate them. Wonderbread is good, Otis admitted, though the Romans should dance for it. So I think Rick's choice here is just Wonderbread, at least in the 2010s, is like this classic, it's this old, boring bread that has kind of become outdated. And it's the stereotypical, like the bread of old. There's no like fun flavor to it. There's no seeds or honey or anything. So it's just like the plainest of the breads.
And if the giants think that's good, then they are boring.
I guess. Yeah. I don't know. Otis at least is interesting.
No, these are my favorite giants in the series. They are the best. Yeah. They're so good. They're so
good.
funny.
They got style. Percy looks over at Nico, who is moving a bit more. Percy hopes that Nico can crawl to safety before the brawl breaks out. He wants information about Annabeth and the other three, so he tells the Big F that the rest of the 7 should be brought out here because the more the merrier when it comes to spectacular deaths. But the Big F declines, saying that it's too late to change the choreography. He goes on saying that the 3 of them will die above, where gods and mortals can witness it. And he notes that this is just the opening act, however, as their main event, the destruction of Rome, will last for an entire month until Gia awakens. And Jason is shocked that Gia will rise in just a month. The Big F confirms this, stating that she mentioned something about August 1st being the best day to destroy humanity. And I thought, the plot of book 4. Yep. It's here. Percy then unleashes the perfect trash talk given the situation. I always respect his craft, and this is potentially his top usage. He goes, so ... You're Gia's warm-up act. Perfect. Get him right where it hurts. You don't want to be called that. Oh. The Big F gets a grim look and lashes out. This is no warm-up, demigod. We'll release wild animals and monsters into the streets. Our special effects department will produce fires and earthquakes. Sinkholes and volcanoes will appear randomly out of nowhere. Ghosts will run rampant. Otis then reminds him that the ghost thing won't work, as it did poorly with focus groups. And the Big F replies, doubters, and says that the hypogeum can make anything work. I love it. I love that
they have like a full department behind this.
Yeah.
They have focus groups, arsenal departments. Like, okay, whoa.
It's great. They're really dedicated. They have a dramaturg. They have a intimacy coordinator. They've got it all.
Exactly. They have everything they need.
The full repertoire. The Big F removes a sheet off of a table and reveals a control board that looks as complex as the stuff that Leo installed into the Argo 2 Here We Go Again. The Big F points out one button that releases rabid wolves into the Forum, another that summons automaton gladiators to fight tourists at the Trevi Fountain, and a third that will cause the Tiber River to flood so that they can have a naval battle reenactment. He says that Percy should appreciate that last one as the son of Poseidon, and Percy replies, I still think the letting us go idea is better. And Piper goes, he's right. Otherwise we get into this whole confrontation thing. We fight you, you fight us, we wreck your plans. You know, we've defeated a lot of giants lately. I'd hate for things to get out of control. Great. Love it. The yes-anding, the teamwork. It's perfect. The Big F says that she's right, and Piper goes, I am? I love that she's surprised that it might work. And the Big F continues that they can't let things get out of control. He says that the timing must be perfect to hit their choreography for their deaths. He says that they will love it. And the narrator, Percy, says, quote, Nico started to crawl away groaning. Percy wanted him to move faster and to groan less. He considered throwing his Wonderbread at him. And I love that deep down, Percy is always frustrated with Nico. Even when he is on the verge of death trying to survive, Percy just thinks, oh, come on, get it together, kid.
Be quiet and escape faster.
We're so close. Jason asks what if they don't want to go along with their plan, and the Big F laughs and points out that they cannot kill them without the help of a god, and none are present. But my guess is that Dionysus is going to come through. He is going to like their sacrifice with the whole Chrysor boat situation. but trapdoor intact, we'll just have to see. But that would be my inkling. He's going to be upset about trying to one-up him with the party shenanigans. And I feel like, I guess he wouldn't be Dionysus, he would be Bacchus. But that is my prediction. But we're getting to the end of this chapter, so we don't learn what happens. The Big F says that going along with their painful death is going to be the most logical choice for them. And then the book ends, chapter 45, with the following. This giant was even worse than that sea god Phorcys back in Atlanta, Percy realized. Ephialtes wasn't so much the anti-Dionysus. He was Dionysus gone crazy on steroids. Sure, Dionysus was the god of revelry and out-of-control parties, but Ephialtes was all about riot and ruin for pleasure. Percy looked at his friends. I'm getting tired of this guy's shirt. And the first time I read that, I didn't see the R in shirt, and I didn't either. Floored. Definitely had to reread that one, because I thought, no way. So he's getting tired of this guy's shirt. Probably an intentional choice from Uncle Rick to put that line in there. I think he might have been, let me throw in a joke for the adults reading. And then the book continues. Combat time? Piper grabbed her horn of plenty. I hate Wonderbread, Jason said. Together they charge. And I love that Piper has turned the horn of plenty into a powerful weapon. I think that's so funny. And it's clearly worked 3 different times. So keep at it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm excited to see what happens next. Is she going to do
Piper's
hot fudge oil slick? Who knows?
Piper's new main weapon is just the horn.
It's good. There's so many food-related options that you can use as a weapon.
Yeah.
Like scalding hot fondue cheese. You can do a whole heck of a lot. Sharp things to make like tacks on the ground. There's a lot that you can do with this thing. So that is the end of chapter 45, which I've retitled Bready, Set, Go. Do you have a retitling of chapter 45?
The warm-up act.
The warm-up act. That's good. That's good. So that's the end of this chapter. That's the end of this episode. Niharika, thank you so much for joining. Always fun to get your unique perspective on the books and the world. But this is the time where we normally promote stuff to folks. Is there anything that you want to shout out to the folks listening?
I have my own podcast. It's called Fully Booked. I only do episodes once a week. Not once a week. Oh my God. Once a month. Could never do once a week, unfortunately.
You have homework. How dare you?
I have to do homework after this. I'm going to be I'm so sad.
I get it. Is this the one Fully Booked was our episode? Is that on that podcast feed?
Yes.
Okay, sweet. So if you want to hear us talking about the Percy Jackson books, check it out.
Fully Booked. It's under my name. Shout out to my friend who made the little, what is it called?
The logo?
Yes, the logo. Thank you.
Nice. Love that.
There's an Instagram being set up that's in the works. So I will figure that out, whatever.
Okay.
And I guess you can also follow me at my Instagram. It is also just my full name, Niharika Bhattacharya.
Which you can all read as the title here. And
yes.
You do not call her an Indian food dish that sounds...
Do not call me butter chicken.
Big yikes. Big yikes. But Niharika, thank you so much for joining. Listeners, thank you for listening. And until next time, when we see how this fight / elaborate death scheme / most grandiose revelry party to ever exist goes. Until then, we'll see you later. Hey, thanks for listening to this episode of The Noose Olympian. This podcast is created, hosted, and produced by me, Mike Schubert. I also run the social media and the website. Our editor is Sherry Guo. The music is by Bettina Campamanes and Brendan Krugel, and the art is by Jessica E. Boyd. If you can't get enough of the show, you can go to thenooseolympian.com/Patreon for bonus episodes, bonus content, ad-free episodes, a whole bunch of fun stuff. If you want to interact with the community around the show, you can check out the Discord, which is available to all patrons, or we're on social media. We're at Noose Olympian on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Twitter. And we've got a subreddit, reddit.com/r/thenewestolympian. You can also show your love for TNO by getting TNO merch at thenewsolympian.com/merch. Of course, want to give a huge shout out to our producer level patrons, Kelsey Gillespie, Vicky Garcia, Frida Vikstrom, Megan Moon, Polly Burge, Nikki Harris, Tatiana Schmidt, Sandra Rose, Josh Sayer, Sam Ruby, Mrs. O'Leary, Milo Kim, Sandkopf, Rayla Matthews, Sky Mallory, Mick Walters, Grace, Ginger Spursboy, Bradimus Prime, Skylar Sisters, Scott Sheldon, Ann M. Thayer Cohen, Bella, Percy Jackson, Kit Kat Crumbs, Jim Jam Koopy, Andrea, not Andrea, Jordan Ray, Nico's Black, Vespa, Zayden Wintergate, and Terry Rothfuss. If you want to support the show in a non-monetary way, word of mouth is essential for podcast growth. You can tell a friend directly, say, hey, there's this Percy Jackson podcast I think you would like, check it out. You could leave a rating and review on whatever podcasting app you're using, or you could just talk about the show on social media. All these things really do help. I really appreciate anyone who has done so in the past, and I appreciate anyone who will do so in the future. But I'm just so thankful that you tuned into this episode 200. Oh my God, 200. That's nuts. And I hope you tune into our next episode where we'll be joined by the fine folks from Monster donut to break down chapters 46 through 48 of the Mark of Athena, the penultimate book Mark of Athena episode. But until then, I'll see you later. Hey, how's it going? It's me, ASMR Mike. So for this ASMR Mike segment, I'm going to be doing some cleaning. So in the closet here, I have a backpack that I recently took to a party. It was a margarita party that my friend threw, and it was bring your own tequila. So I didn't want to bring a giant bottle of tequila because the only bottle of tequila I have is from Costco. So that felt excessive. So I have these tiny little Bon Mama jars that came from a Bon Mama Jam advent calendar, and each of them held a shot. So I just brought a couple of shots in these little jelly jars. But because I didn't want them to all jingle around in my bag and stuff, I put them in an empty blueberry container, and then I padded it with a plastic bag that I think had tortillas in it. And that is what I did. So I'm going to just open this because I need to run these through the dishwasher. So here's me opening. That was me opening the blueberry container. Now I'm going to take out the jars. I will also take out the little plastic bag. Oh no, it was a Brawny paper towel. No free ads, but Brawny has some good paper towels called Tear a Square, where they tear into squares so they can like rip into the narrow thing and then rip in half again. They're really nice. It did win paper towel of the year. And then here's me opening and closing one of those little mini jelly jars. Thank you so much for listening. Oh, it smells like tequila. Oh my God.